Today's episode 14 with Debbie Oster of Entrepreneur's Edge. This show is titled The List. And what is the list? Well, it's your first set of potential customers. If you want to know how to build this list, you're going to want to stick around and listen. Welcome to another amazing episode of Amazing Entrepreneurs. Isn't that a bit redundant? My name is Michael Riley. I'm CEO of Amazing Tech. Today, I am joined by Debbie Oster of Entrepreneur's Edge. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to you and tell us a fun fact about yourself.
A fun fact, thank you, by the way, for having me. I really appreciate it. A fun fact about me is I ride motorcycles. I got into motorcycles about 5 years ago and never looked back. And it's been really fun, and it's my favorite thing to do when I'm not working.
Oh, you know what? It's definitely, I can see it and feel the passion. I've ridden a little bit in my lifetime, so definitely have enjoyed it. So that's great. 5 years ago, huh?
Yep, 5 years ago. Been all over the U.S. since, so.
Oh, really? So you're like, hey, that's a part of it is to ride out to somewhere fun?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Florida is the flattest of the flat. So
Yeah.
any chance I get to be near the mountains or, just windy, twisty roads, I'm in.
Understood. And so that was a little fun fact. You guys are with, just to jump off the top, it's Entrepreneur's Edge. So tell us a little bit about the company and what brought you, how we began talking.
Yep. So Entrepreneur's Edge, as I was just speaking to you off the, on the side, was started originally as a comprehensive business consulting firm. We were planning to offer business strategy, marketing strategy, et cetera. And then over time, it's just evolved into more of a strategic marketing firm, and meaning we really focus on the strategy and the planning side of things prior to getting into any of the execution work with our clients.
Gotcha. So let's talk about this. So it's marketing focused, and there's a couple things that I that hold near and dear to my heart, the entrepreneurial pivot, right? So I definitely want to get back into that. But tell me the lead into, how did you start, how'd you get into forming Entrepreneur's Edge?
Sure. So I have a marketing background. I've been in it for about 12 years, kind of fell into it actually, but it's been something that's been really fulfilling to me and my career. And after about 10 years of working for multiple agencies, being a director level in corporations, I just saw this need in the market, for small business owners. They were really lacking that strategic side of things. And I found that, most traditional agencies, they're just trying to sell small business owners whatever they do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let me run your PPC campaign for you.
Right. And the truth of the matter is not every small business, especially small businesses, not every small business needs a PPC.
Yeah.
So it's like they need to know what is their strategy and what should be their plan, their roadmap, so they don't just go wasting a bunch of, their small marketing budget on random marketing tactics.
Right. And by the way, and this is my fault, I said PPC. I've learned to not assume anything. So it's pay-per-click. So it's the most expensive route typically the most expensive route into getting new leads. Because to me, marketing's all about generating interest or telling people about your business so people know what your products are. So whenever a need arises, they know where to go.
Yep, exactly. And I'll take that a step further. Most of the clients that I have refer to it as like Google search ads or Facebook ads or Instagram ads. But that's what we're talking about when we say PPC.
Absolutely. So you start off, you're working, and it's very similar to my story. So I love that, whenever you go into something, I didn't accidentally fall into IT. I did a little bit more. I was in sales, and then I was like, you know what? I don't want to do sales for the rest of my life, and now I'm doing sales again. But got into IT, worked in IT for a decade plus, and then started my own little branding. So my own little consulting company. Well, little, it's, I don't, and I'm not saying yours is little, but it's like, hey, it's, I started my own business and I started my own brand. I found my passion. So, is it something that you mentioned like, hey, I saw a need. When did, what, was there a specific moment where you're like, yo, we've got to do something here?
There's probably been a lot of small moments, even, dating back to about 7.5 years ago when I was working for an agency. I was a marketing account manager and I was managing 22 plus accounts, basically doing what I do now, but for 22 clients on a very personal level. And I was just like, these people are not getting what they need. They're being sold, the services they think they need. And those things don't really align all the time. So I was just kind of frustrated by the industry and the churn and burn of the agency model. And so I just wanted to, I set out to try to create something that can provide the value, but more of it, and with much less churn.
Right.
I think my current clients are a testament to that. I've worked with most of my client base for multiple years now. So
Right. That's amazing. Yeah. And I agree with you too. It's, I look at, in our space, it's, it's, you guys call it an agency, but it's, you see and you're like, man, they're just not doing a great job. They're not being good stewards of the budget or whatever, especially marketing. It's like, the business really frickin' needs this to work. And yeah, so I can appreciate the passion there. So tell us, so you guys, I'm guessing, do like more of a specific stylized approach?
we do. And really at the heart of it is that strategy piece. It's just, getting to know, what are your business goals? What are you trying to achieve? And from there, using the marketing perspective to create this, like I said, roadmap that lets you know who you're specifically targeting, what you offer and how it's different than anything else in the market, and how you're going to, create messaging and marketing campaigns that speak to that and resonate with your ideal audience.
Right. And I can feel that like from you to, just sitting there specifically talking. It's like, I really feel the trying to channel the passion that you have like for helping these small businesses, or the, the SMB, which is, statistically speaking, the majority of businesses out there are the SMB market.
Right. Yep.
And so, well, question, is there been anybody that's kind of like influenced you in like the, developing and channeling that passion or driving you to being an entrepreneur's entrepreneur?
I would say, not to get all cheesy, but my father was a really hard worker, and he definitely had that like entrepreneurial spirit. And I just watched him, my entire life, raising 6 children and just,
Six
just
children.
grinding.
I could not even imagine 6 children.
No, I can't either.
You're like, I have no idea how I survived either. So
I don't. A lot of chaos.
can you imagine the grocery bill right now if
Oh
you
my
had 6
goodness.
kids?
It's insane.
Right. So, so you got 5 siblings.
Yes. I actually have 4 now. One passed,
Oh, yeah.
but yes, there were 6 of us originally, and like I said, it was just straight chaos growing up, and
Yeah.
but it's a blessing. Like
Yeah.
I kind of hated it when I was young, but now I'm so blessed to have that family when it's Thanksgiving and Christmas, and just if you need something.
Right. That's what's important. Absolutely. So, tell me, tell me about your journey, as an entrepreneur, because I think that like part of what, based on our conversation, that I'm the same way. I very much am like, what do you want to do for a business? What's your vision? If you don't have a vision, define your vision. So that way I can align technology to hit that vision. And what you just told me was, tell me your vision. Let's create a brand and a strategy to hit your vision. And so, tell me a little bit about your, and a vision to me is like a 5-year statement. Where do you see your business in 5 years? And so like, tell me a little bit about your own vision for how's your journey been thus far, and how does that prepare you to help other SMBs?
So I think my journey thus far has just been a lot of pivoting, to be
Right,
honest. I
right,
mean, I'm 2 years in, and I started out with this grand vision of what I was going to do and how quickly I was going to do it.
right.
And then, every quarter we, strategize and kind of recalibrate, and it adjusts a little bit every
Hmm.
quarter. And then essentially every year there's been big adjustments. And so it's just evolved over time. But I do think that the model that we have at the moment is one that will benefit the market the best. And it's different from what a lot of other agencies are doing out there.
Mm.
I actually hate the term agency, I'll admit.
Yeah.
The only reason I use it is because that's what people know and that's what they're
That's the
searching.
industry. Well, I mean, that's what a guy like me knows is a
Right,
marketing agency. Like,
right.
what do I kind of, because when I hear marketing agency, I think of very expensive,
Mm-hmm.
may or may not get me somewhere that I need to be.
Right.
Honestly, I can't, I think of that as like I can't afford it,
Yep.
you know?
Yep. Yeah, I totally get it. And so I kind of set out to call my business a marketing firm. But again, there's not as much search for that. People don't usually use that term as often. So I've kind of acquiesced to, okay, we're an agency, but we are still very different from the typical agency model.
So, well, let's dive into that a little bit. I was going to save it, but I was like, you know what? This is as good of a time as any.
Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit more about your services and how does yours differentiate from your typical agency?
Yep. Okay. So typical agency, I'll just start out with theirs. Client comes to them, they want leads, they want revenue, they want growth. And typically, the agency will suggest multiple, if not all, of the services that they provide. So, SEO, a new website, social media, paid advertising.
Hmm.
But what we do, which is different, is we, bring the client in or the prospect in. We get to know their business, and then we ask them, what are your goals? What are 3 top things that you want to accomplish over the course of the next, 1 to 3 years? And then from there, if they choose to work with us, I can create a marketing strategy tailored specifically to those goals. And it takes about 30 to 45 days because I'm immersing myself in getting to know their business and their market
Right,
almost as well as the business owner knows it.
right.
And that really allows me to help them get a clear picture of what marketing tactics they need to engage in order to see that growth and achieve those goals that they've outlined for their business.
That is definitely different because, like, to me, it's a lot of times it's like a cookie cutter approach. It's
Hmm.
like, hey, I do this. I mean, at some point in time, in order to scale, you do have to have some sort of like, whenever I engage with somebody, it's going to be built towards you, but I've got to understand your business in order to build towards it. But I have to, tell me about your business. What do you
Hmm.
sell? Who's your staff? Who's your target market? Things of that nature. So,
Yep, yep. And when I talk strategy, like I don't. Again, it's definitely not cookie cutter, and that's why it takes a month and a half to do this. And I'm conducting interviews with the clients, ideal clients or their best customers.
mm,
I'm having one-on-ones with them. I'm like getting the feedback that I need to outline like this is what really sets this business apart, and this is how we're going to attract more of these people.
gotcha. Do you guys, so knowing a little bit, because, if you look at my story, we started off as one business name and we swapped to Amazing a little bit later.
Hmm.
But do you guys do branding stuff as well as marketing? Is that part of the strategy?
Um, it depends on the business.
Okay.
So we work with B2B, B2C, all industries at the moment. I may decide to niche down in the future, but for right now, I get clients sometimes who recently I had a startup vodka client, yeah, vodka product, really cool, really unique, and and she told me what she wanted. She told me her business goals. And I just straight up told her, I'm like, listen, we're creeping in like into like serious branding work here. And
Yeah.
that's not my specialty.
Yeah.
I'm more of that comprehensive strategy
Yeah, because it's its
person.
own thing. I mean, to me, you can have a market agency, but like they may like branding is
Totally different. I mean, not totally different. They
It,
obviously work together, but
but it's its own thing. It's kind of like
it
you go
is.
to IT. I mean, you can have IT, but you have infrastructure. You have people who work on like computers, and then you have people who develop software. That's just not the same thing,
Right.
right?
And that's exactly a good example. But yeah, like in that instance, I just said, listen, this is out of the scope of what I do. You need it done really well if you're going to go into the market with a product, a premium vodka, and compete against Grey Goose and Belvedere and brands that have been around for decades.
Yeah.
I was like, so I have this branding agency that I trust. I really think that we should have some calls with them, and you should do work directly with them to get your branding up to par.
I love that because like part of the I think is not I think some of our listeners one of the important things is you shouldn't pick up every dollar you see because especially if it's outside of your comfort zone because like if you get something that is like where you're asked to deliver something and you're like what I know and I know about it, but like to get to where you need it to be, I also know my limitations.
Yep.
And to be able to be like, hey, not pick up the be like, hey, I want your success to be like your success is my goal.
Yep.
Period. That builds a level of trust.
Yep.
You know.
Agreed. 100%. I mean, it's like, sure, I could take your 5K this month and try really hard to come up with a decent brand for you.
Yeah, and it'd probably be
but
decent. Yeah,
it probably would be, but
Yeah.
or I can refer you to somebody that I know is going to do an amazing job.
Right.
And you're still going to want to work with me in the future when it comes to other needs and trust me and like me more and refer people to me and
Right. It's important to to establish those alliances or the business credit, but partnerships and relationships within the industry, and just kind of know when it's the pivot work. To me it was a pivot, and I could talk all day about a pivot. So
yeah.
I think it's a sign of a successful business, to be honest with you, because you look at any business, they're doing some sort of pivot as to where we started out being like, we're going to be this. And then you get this isn't working,
Yeah.
And so the knowledge, I think that's what separates the gals from the ladies or the men from the boys or the 2023, the whatever to the whatever, where you grow up as you mature as a business, and you start to know when and where I should do a shift. And so talk to me a little bit about your shift from like full blown, like, hey, we're going to just be like business consulting, which is that's very generic. It's very tough, to be like, hey, why should I bring my business to yours to be totally managed?
Yep. Yep. We initially, my business partners and I, they have, really strong background in business strategy and,
Right.
Business operating systems. And there is definitely a need in the market for it. I mean, I know there are some consulting companies that do it, but, it just isn't always done well. And so we just saw this need for that. And I kind of brought to the table the marketing consulting piece. And so it was just a really good, what we thought, combination. And it could have been, a few months in, we were like, everybody we're talking to, their number one gripe is marketing. And, so that was kind of what like shifted. That was the first pivot. Like, okay, this is what they really need right now. So let's get them on the right foot.
Yeah. And maybe we can add a product later.
Yes.
Yeah. What I've learned is like, hey, it's productizing, having some sort of, again, you don't have to have a cookie cutter, but you do need to have a plan in order to have like a conversation. So like, hey, I'm going to develop a marketing strategy, which is tailored to your business. I still need to have a plan for whenever I go to talk to you about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so maybe it's a product line later on down there. That's kind of how I envision it. I know that's my struggle. My number one struggle is not my sales product, not my product, not my services. My service, we are damn good at what we do. Our sales product, it kind of is what it is. Like I'm confident in what we do, and I think our price is fair. So the sales process is going to be like, or do you want to grow your business using technology?
Right.
The problem is I don't have the leads, and that's been my struggle. Yeah, hell yeah, it's always a marketing problem.
It is. It really is. I actually, there's kind of like what we consider journeys in the business owners, stages of the business owner's journey. And, the first one is sales. Like, if you're going to start a business, you got to know how to sell something. And you just want to make sale after sale after sale because that gets you clients, and then you get the experience and you learn from it.
You get the fat check.
Yeah.
You get that sweet check. You're like, damn, that's a lot of money.
Right,
and
right.
Then
But that only goes so far.
Yeah.
And eventually, like, leads start to kind of dry up, the word of mouth, the referrals start to like slow and trickle in. And then you're like, okay, I need to invest in some marketing. So it's usually like the second really big piece to starting and growing a business from what I've seen.
Damn, maybe that's where I'm at, because that was it. Because like we've been around for since 2018. You start a bit. By the way, don't start a business during a global pandemic, right? Especially if your business is business to business. Because especially if businesses aren't spending money because they ain't making money. A lot of them. Regardless of what people said, it was good for some industries. It was devastating. Look at the restaurant industry.
Oh,
devastating to the restaurant industry.
Yeah, it was. And I gotta stop you there for a second, because I worked for a big company during the pandemic, and the first people they started furloughing or cutting were the marketing team. And I just was like, wait a second, this is completely backwards.
Oh, yeah.
We are going through a devastating, season for businesses, and you're going to cut the function that is going to keep you ahead of the game or keep you, or help you beat out the competition. Like, I get it. Money's, revenue has gone down and all of that, but marketing should always be a necessity for any business.
Well, I've learned, that's what I'm an IT guy, so what the hell do I know about like marketing? But like I found that never, ever, ever stop.
Nope.
Because if you stop, the machine stops.
It does.
And if the machine stops, then your business stops. And if you don't have, you can have the best product in the world, but if you have nothing to work on.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a system. Just like you said, a machine. I consider marketing a system. And it takes time, and there's lots of components, and they all kind of like have a compounding effect. But so, one thing I see is business owners, run a campaign or they do something and they get this like great influx of leads and then new revenue. And then they're like, okay, let's pause on this for a little bit. We're doing pretty good. And I'm like, no, this is not when you want to pause.
You cannot. That's when you hire more people.
That's when you hire more people and you reinvest some of the revenue coming in into more marketing, and you just keep it going, like you said, like a machine, over and over again. It's got to keep running.
Oh my gosh. And because what you said spoke near and dear to me. It's like, hey, I start a business, and that's great. You start a business, and I'm sure you're damn good at what you do. But it's, you go through your natural progression, your family, your friends, your referrals.
Yep.
And then that's it. Once you kind of, squeeze that sponge, there's no more water in it. So like you got to find a way to, to water your plants. So, that was I don't know where I was going with that, but
I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And what do you see successful businesses do to get out of it? Because you had referred to the first stage, and then now we're at the second stage. What do you see successful businesses do to transition onto the third
stage?
Yeah.
So the third stage is, and again, I've actually learned all this from my business partners. But the third stage is systems.
Right.
So once you've got the sales down, and then you've got your marketing system in place, and that's like consistently working for you.
Yeah.
Then you need to systematize things so that you can scale.
Right.
Because ultimately, if the marketing's working and bringing in more leads and, it's consistent lead flow, like you're going to get more clients or, customers, and you're going to need to figure out how to scale pretty quickly.
Right. I mean, is it EOS or just curious?
Actually, that's basically the foundation, like what I'm referring to is from EOS.
Okay. So because you had said implement, and EOS, maybe we have a different episode on this, so I don't want to dive too deep into that, but it's like it's its own thing, and there's implementation, and it's off a book called Traction.
Yep. And I've read the book. My partners have read it, and we run our business using that method. Or
Amazing.
so like our meetings are very, it's just the three of us, and we're friends too, but we run our meetings like like they do in Traction or speak about in Traction.
Right. Well, I mean, you got to know where you want to go, and if you want to, act as if, so to speak, and it's like, same sort of thing, put yourself in a position to where you want to be. So it's EOS is something that kind of works with, 3 or 300,
Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Uh, but speaking of which, acting as if. So tell me a little bit about. I was going to pull up a live read,
Okay.
but I don't have it up yet. So I'm going to instead pivot to what's your. So tell me about, as an organization, you guys have kind of. You guys have been ripping and roaring for a little bit, but what's something that you can look at and be like, damn, we really rocked it out there.
Can you clarify a little? Like, do you mean
Like,
with, like,
what's
a
your
client?
proudest moment? Well, I mean, a client success story is always great.
Yep.
Be like, hey, we took them on and we scaled it up, or it doesn't have to be a client, but what's something that you're very proud of as an organization? When you look at it and be like, that was tough, or hey, we really rocked that.
Yep. I'd say that, with some of the clients that we've brought on, it is like completely out of my typical scope. Like not what we're doing, but like just the industry. Like have never been introduced to the industry, never worked with any businesses in that industry. And I remember like one specifically, it's a plant-based food ingredient company. They create like upcycled food ingredient products and such. And I remember when they came to me and were like, hey, we're interested in working with you. We need a strategy. I was like overwhelmed and scared, because this was something very new, but we figured it out. We created a really solid strategy for the company. I'm still with them a year later as their
Nice.
marketing consultant,
Nice.
fractional CMO. And yeah, it's just things like that. Like to somebody else, that might not seem like that great of a win, but to me, it is like, being a small business owner, you have to just learn as you go. And, things aren't always going to go as you planned or thought they should. You might not get the outcomes you were anticipating, but if you just kind of keep going and figuring things out, like you'll be successful.
A/B test sort of a thing.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, there's so many ways to go about. You don't have to it's not like one way or no, or not.
Yeah, because you don't know. Like that's part of the challenge. It's like, hey, I don't know, and in order for me to not know, I need to try, and I need to have I need to track the success of it in some way, shape, or form. So find a way to quantify it.
Yep.
And then make strategic adjustments where need be.
Yeah, that's key right there.
Right.
Measuring performance and being able to pivot or adjust when things aren't going in the direction they need to be is crucial. And, that's another thing with a lot of agencies I've seen is, yeah, they've got reporting in place, but the reporting is so cumbersome that the client doesn't even understand it and there's no actionable insight coming from it. But if you can just pick, the 6 to 10 really important key performance indicators or KPIs for a small business, and, say these are your numbers. We track these no matter what, all the time. And if they don't move in the right direction, we adjust the strategy.
Right.
And you just don't see that very often. So yeah, I live by that.
Yeah, and I agree because another thing with the agency, especially if we've never set a baseline, I don't, it's these are numbers and yeah, they're going up a little bit, but what if that's crappy numbers to begin with?
Right.
How am I supposed to? I don't know that. I'm relying on somebody else to tell me.
Yep.
Yep.
Another thing I see is, social media firms a lot, and whoever's listening is probably gonna be like, what the heck, Debbie? But it's they'll boost posts or, to gain a bunch of followers for the client. So it looks like they're doing their jobs really well. But to be honest, most of the time when you boost posts, you're going to get a bunch of followers that are not your target market. And especially if you're a local brick and mortar, who cares if you have 10,000 followers if none of them are in your region and going to actually visit your business?
Nobody's buying your cookies,
No.
right? So it's
they're vanity metrics is
Yeah.
what that's what they're referred to in the industry.
well, make myself. I learned that about website. I look at my website. We recently redid it. Oh, brings me to I want to talk to you here in a second.
Okay.
But it's I have this fancy thing. It's basically a fancy brochure, but it doesn't do anything.
Yep.
And so need to have something that's actionable that doesn't make me feel good at night, but something that is actually useful to my clients.
Yep.
Or potential clients. Because we have a freaking amazing product.
Right, right.
It's just we need to make sure that they know what I'm offering
Yep.
and what problems I can solve for them.
Yeah, you just have to be able to like really clearly convey that to the market
Yeah.
so that they only see you as the solution they need.
Right, right. So speaking of which, we're going to pause right here. We're going to go into our act as if, and whenever we get, we've been kind enough to be past some of these, and this is actually, are you tired of the endless job search? Are you struggling to get a response from recruiters or feeling like applications aren't generating calls? Executive recruiter and job search specialist Eileen Rain shares the insider secrets from the view of a recruiter in her revolutionary job-getting, career-building system, Pounding Pavement 101. Eileen teaches job seekers exactly how to market themselves with laser precision, exponentially increasing their chances of getting noticed and hired rapidly. Using scientifically proven methodology in Pounding Pavement 101, job seekers are getting hired in 3 to 8 weeks in their dream jobs after searching on their own for 9 to 12 months, saving them both time and gaining money from the increased salary. Schedule some time to speak with Eileen Rain at www.poundingpavement101.com, poundingpavement101.com to learn more. And if you watch episode 5, that's Eileen's, and all of her notes are in the show notes in case you missed that. So be sure to check that out. And with that being said, going to come back over here and let's talk about a little bit about so we've had some nice discussion about strategy and things of that nature. I do want to get into, you mentioned a fractional portion, but what's something that your average, if you're going to tell somebody starting their business, if you're doing one thing that you could do right now to help you out, what's the first thing that they should do?
My go-to strategy is always leveraging your network.
Okay.
So I think it's called, I don't know, it's sometimes referred as like the 250 or something, but it's basically a list of like your barber, your dentist, your family, your friends, basically anybody, your hairstylist in your community, in your immediate network.
Right.
And you reach out to them somehow and let them know what you're doing.
Right.
And that's the number one. And then from there, I say, okay, look at kind of, what do you have that you could leverage to market your business without going out and having to hire somebody. So like, say you're a really good writer or you're a really good speaker, then start writing social posts and posting consistently. Or again, if you're a speaker, start trying to become a guest on podcasts or, engage in, potential speaking events in the community. Try to leverage whatever your strong suits are and just start doing that and doing it consistently as a starting point for your marketing before you go out and spend money working with agencies.
Right, right. Okay. So this is actually, I'm probably need to take that note. So and I saw a post of yours that kind of leads into it, but it's telling a story because a lot of times be like, I don't really know what you do. I'm like, I don't know how many other ways I can tell you. We do outsourced IT.
Right.
and that it's like, I don't really get what you do. And, I still hear that from, family and friends, specifically. Maybe they're a little too close to me.
Yeah.
They're like, he's an IT guy. Well, what does he do in IT? I don't know. He works on computers. But
Yeah.
no, but it's finding your list. And I'm going to have to go through and I feel like I've exhausted mine, but I've also struggled with a post that I saw the other day from you that I wanted to talk on. Tell me about the storytelling thing.
Storytelling. So yeah, that was one of my less popular belief posts. So, there's all these beliefs in the marketing world, and sometimes I like to just pick one that I disagree with and take my stance on it.
Okay.
And that's what I was doing there. So there's been this trend, I don't know how long it's been going on, years for sure, but that marketers are storytellers. And only good marketers are storytellers. And I disagree with that. I mean, I think that storytelling is part of what a marketer needs to be able to do and do well. But ultimately, a marketer should be somebody who's strategic, analytical, and creative. And so, the storytelling kind of falls under that creative side of things.
Right, right. And and I don't disagree with you on that. And the reason why I kind of gel with storytelling is when people come to my site, yes, it's important that we do these things, but it's more along the lines of people care about themselves, and so like I want to tell a story about how I'm going to make their lives better. And so, yeah.
It's like the story brand
That's
framework.
that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Right.
yep.
I've read the book.
Yeah,
So,
me too.
Yeah.
And I don't just, I think it's a really great approach to framing your messaging for your business. It doesn't work particularly well for some types of businesses. Like it might be hard to make the story brand framework work for like an e-com, company that's selling thousands of products. It just really depends.
No, I get what you're saying on that. It really depends on, it works for us because we're by and large a consulting company. So, it's like, what do you guys do? We do IT better than you guys do. That's why,
Yeah. And you're basically like removing or, helping with the headache that is IT for most people.
Right.
I'm in marketing and I guess probably considered pretty technical, but I hate IT stuff.
Yeah. Well, part of it is that. Part of it's a pain in the ass, and it's like, hey, I've grown to a point to where I don't want to mess with that sort of stuff anymore. And then the other part is the strategic part. It's like, okay, yeah, you can get to that, but is it the best way?
Right.
For me, it's like, yeah, I know I can run a campaign, but am I going to do it the best way?
Right.
Because or am I, where should I have, $5,000 where that I can spend this month on marketing or whatever? Where should I spend it? Yeah, I can spend it here, but is it the most effective use of my dollar? I don't know.
Right.
I'm not eating, breathing, living, dreaming marketing.
Right. You need somebody to guide
Like
you
you,
on what are the best.
Yeah.
But to what you do as well, like if I'm a business owner and I'm running lean, like to me, it makes sense to invest in your services because the opportunity cost involved in me trying to figure out IT stuff and the amount of time and effort and energy it takes is not worth it.
It's not worth it. Yeah, you start to learn it's like time. I can either buy it or do it.
Yep.
And doing it, I'm probably going to do an average at best job.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, I'm not like. You do need to have some core things. You need to understand what is going on with it.
Right.
Doesn't mean you need to apply it. Right. So you need to have someone that you know enough to where it's like, hey, they're not going to be just, they're not an agency. It's like, give me, $30K a month and, we'll run this, and, here's your metrics. And you need to be able to ask questions. Well, why am I doing that?
Yeah, you need to know things well. That's my rule too. You need to know something well enough that if the person you hire to do it for you is doing a good enough job or not.
Right.
And usually you can measure that by the time it saves you, or in my case, the ROI. But yeah, it's just it's crazy to me when people kind of go blind into things like that. And
oh yeah, no, well it's from a consulting standpoint. The worst thing that you can do as a business owner is to pay a consulting a lot of money that, and when I say a lot of money, it doesn't have to be like it, but it's a good, you're definitely investing in it.
Right.
And then not listening to them. If you're not listening to your consultant, fire them.
Yeah, they're not doing a good enough job
them.
making you believe that this is important enough to actually,
Right. If you aren't listening to your consultant, fire them and get somebody that you're willing to listen to. If you are paying somebody to know something better, because that's what it is. You have to know all these things in order to have, unless you want to own a job, and there's nothing wrong with owning a job, but if you want to actually have a business that scales and grows to its natural peak.
Yep. Exactly.
You need to hire people who know more than you do about it.
Yeah, put the right people in the right place.
Right.
Yep, that's how you grow. Absolutely.
Right. So so tell me, I want to shift back a little bit because it kind of leads back into like a good conversation piece in regards to fractional work. And I think fractional is an exceptional route to go. And I was actually at a pitch a pitch competition where we're talking about fractional work, and how important it is to have a solid team when you're going to go raise money. How do you do that? You have fractional people that is a part of your team that has some sort of like vested interest or payments to get to a point to where they can actually get funding from seed and venture capitalists and stuff like that. But what does a fractional or CMO look like?
Yep. So it's essentially like having an executive level marketing expert, marketing your business like a real employee would, or a full-time employee would, but for a fraction of the cost. So it's like my clients that I act as a fractional CMO for, I know their business just as well as any, full-time employee that works for them. I've immersed myself in their business. I have their best interest at heart. They consider me a partner. They don't call me one of their employees or their fractional CMO. They call me their partner.
Right.
And that's really what it is. And when you think about it, like on average, you could get a fractional CMO, for a year for about probably starting around $36,000 a year. But think of the level of marketing expertise that they're going to bring to your business for $36,000. I mean, most CMO roles are upwards of $150K a year.
Right. I mean, that's honestly took the words out of it. If you hire, that's basically, if you want me to give you an elevator pitch of what we do, you $50K for your baseline IT guy, or you can hire us for 2/3 of the cost, or right around 30. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you get everything kind of like outsourced with it. It kind of comes with it.
Yep. And the reality is today that like you can't really hire even just a marketing manager anymore for less than $60K a year.
Right.
So it's like,
and then what level of service are you getting at that? And it's like, because I mean, what more if you do not have lead, and they'll find you if you are an entrepreneur and you're listening to that and you're like, you know what, we've grown good by word of mouth. That's awesome. And by all the more power to you. But there's going to be a day.
Yeah, there's going to be a day where you need to go to that next level, or you're ready to go to the next level. And, no offense to marketing managers, I was one at some point, but that's probably not going to be the person that's going to be able to take you there. You're going to need that executive level expertise.
Or at least a high level plan.
Yeah.
Because a marketing manager is going to be good at one thing, but like to me, marketing is so diverse.
Yep. Yeah, it is.
You mentioned social media. You had mentioned branding. We had mentioned like a traditional like web hosting, design. Then we're talking about, campaign. To me, there's like, hey, we haven't even gotten to events.
Events, SEO.
Yeah.
Content writing. I mean, it's crazy.
There's a lot of pieces to that puzzle, and so we had talked about, hey, building up a list. What's another, throw us out another tidbit there. What's the next thing you could like? Okay, we've got our list, and like, hey, all right, I've crafted my message. To me, it's like the message has to be something that your 5-year-old could understand, And so, we're not a 5-year-old, but it's like you need to simplify it down, because like my problem is I never simplified it down because people still don't know what the hell I do. And so like, what's something else that they could do that you could give to them that'd be like, that was cool. I could, cheaply,
I could do this cost effectively.
I could cost effectively put it into place, maybe generate a little bit more business. And then whenever that happens, they can be like, who was that Debbie? Debbie on episode 14 of Amazing Entrepreneurs told me about that. Her contact info, guess what, is in the show notes. So if you guys haven't seen it, go check out the show notes and be sure to like and subscribe, share, join our groups. We talk about entrepreneurial stuff, but what's one more thing that we could do?
So one thing that's worked for me, and again, this is going to vary based on the business, but for me as a service-based business, just creating LinkedIn content. Okay. LinkedIn has been so fruitful for me. I've made amazing connections.
You do great content, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
By the way, so in all seriousness, like if you want some sort of inspiration, go follow her on LinkedIn. And she has some great stuff out there, and she's engaged on, her job is to help build, her passion is to help grow SMBs. So, I mean, what an amazing resource you can connect with. And I mean, I'm sure she'll have a conversation. You'll have to talk to her about engagements, but I'm sure if you ask her a question, she'll answer it for you.
100%. Yeah, I'm really active on LinkedIn, and what I did there was just I love to write. I have unique perspectives on things. I have like strong opinions when it comes to the marketing industry, and so I decided I was going to leverage that because I can do it fairly easily and doesn't take too much of my time. And LinkedIn is where lots of entrepreneurs, founders, business owners are spending their time. They're not necessarily on Instagram,
Yeah.
Some of them are. Again, for some businesses, Instagram makes more sense. It doesn't for my business.
Yeah.
LinkedIn makes sense for my business. So that's what it's about. It's recognizing your strong suits, and where your people, your audience are showing up. And it's about trying to like connect those two things and figure out what you can do to reach them there.
Yeah. In a consistent manner.
Yeah, consistency is key, 100%.
Yeah. It's, and even with me, it's with this, it's like I've been good about posting it up, but I've been trying to interact. And, yesterday someone was like, yo, I've been seeing your stuff. And, I don't know if it's great or not, but you know what? People see it and recognize it. That's half the battle.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. One thing I want to add to that is, we have a theory that when you're, engaging in marketing activities to get started, especially, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Right.
You need one online marketing tactic, one offline marketing tactic, and then an internal one. So, for example, an internal marketing tactic would be to ask for reviews from really happy clients, and then make sure that you post those on your website, on your social channels, in case studies, like wherever it be. You need client reviews, customer reviews, and you can get that, just having an internal process, a simple one. Offline, networking or speaking events, like figuring out what's the thing you want to invest your time in, and do that and do it consistently. And then online, whether it's a social channel or it's having a really great website or search engine optimization or content marketing, like publishing content regularly, pick one of those, like pick something from all three of those categories and just start doing it consistently, and you'll see results.
That's good. You help me feel better about it, because like I'm internal. The one thing that I haven't been doing, and I think that half the reason why I started this is because like I just love this is my passion, right? And so like I love hearing, and I learn. So like now I'm gonna figure out. It's like I was sitting there thinking, all right, you do some good shit, and your clients do like you, I think. But you haven't asked them. That's the problem.
You're not talking to them, yeah.
I'm thinking they haven't told me otherwise. So
Yeah.
but no, I need to start asking for that. I teach my girls closed mouths don't get fed. So I mean, if you need something, ask for it.
Ask for it, 100%. And you, especially with what you do, because
Right.
you're service based, I
You're
mean,
right.
they'll go far. Like
Oh, yeah.
it'll be really helpful. And like somebody who is kind of looking at you or maybe a competitor, like seeing that you've got multiple great reviews and that people trust you is really going to be that thing that like makes them want to go with you versus your competitor.
Yeah, because like I talked to our service lead, and he's like, we were having this conversation. He was like, "Oh, they're good. They freaking love us." And so like, I mean, but honestly, what a good feeling, because like I can go to everybody can make a buck. If I wanted to, I promise you, if I wanted to be wealthy, I probably wouldn't have started a business. I probably would like try to scale up like where I was at, personally, because it is a lot of work, and especially the first while, you're definitely getting your butt kicked, especially when you're wasting money trying things that isn't necessarily effective,
Yep.
but it's asking, the people, once you start getting it, you start understanding yourself as an organization and as a business, you can start like really, fine tuning it and getting those reviews. But so we're doing, I need to do reviews.
Yep.
Need to do networking.
Yes. Look how we met. I mean,
Yeah. So let's talk. So, and I won't talk. I'll let you. What do you find effective? Like, how'd you start doing networking?
The first thing I did was, so I used to be a bartender, so I know a lot of people in my
Nice.
community.
Nice.
Yeah. And I
did
just
too.
used that.
Yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to every single person. I made my list, which remind me after this, but I'll send you my 250 list.
Oh, I'm super interested because
Yeah.
like because I listened to like a lot of books, and I'd heard about making your I think Alex Hormozy said make your list or something like that off like LinkedIn. But like a lot of times LinkedIn is like, you may or may not know some of these people
Right,
really
right.
well. But
Yeah.
the 250 is, I mean, these are your,
Yeah. And I've got a template for it. I'll send it to you.
I would love,
Just
yeah.
get you jump
Hey,
started.
yeah, and if you send it to me, I tell you what, I will. If you're fine with it, I'll share it. I'll put it in the show notes so that way we have an open link so people can grab it as well.
Yeah, easy. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, start there and then, pick your networking. And so I picked like, my local chamber of commerce. I've picked some other kind of local networking, small business networking groups. And just, again, be consistent with it. You can't go once a month or once every quarter and expect to see results, because people need, the whole point of those is so people can get to know, like, and trust you. And they're not going to do that in one sitting typically.
Know, like, and trust. That's a good way to go. I'm a part of a group that talks about getting, first we know, then you like, then you trust, and then we're going to pass business. Because, like, a lot of times at networking, yeah, I go into it with a giving approach, and I found that there's a book that, I keep going back to books, but it's about like, hey, the more I give, the more I can expect to receive in situations like that. And it's not just try to be damn helpful,
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, 100%.
go there with like, hey, if I don't walk out of here with a sell or, then it's a waste. That if you go, you're going to be disappointed.
You're absolutely right. And yeah, I mean, somebody's put it once as like, you're not going to network, you're going to make friends. But, you can look at it however you want, but you're right. Like if you go into it thinking, I better get a sale out of this, then you are going to be disappointed.
Right.
And I found a good strategy for me is my goal is like for every person that I meet, I try to think of one or two people that might need them, because if I connect them with somebody, even if it's not me and I don't want to use their services or products, I probably know somebody who might be interested in it. And then if I do make that connection, again, that gets them to know and like me and trust me, because now I'm referring people to them.
Right. Or they at least remember you.
Or they at least remember you at the very
Yeah,
least.
because I mean that's the whole, and to me being a data guy, we do like a lot of CRM stuff, and so customer relationship management software. I know we don't do acronyms, but we do a lot of customization based on like what a business is. And one of my struggles was, okay, how do I quantify a networking group? So like what we've been building out, and we're finally ready to like start talking and maybe offering it to people is we have a networking group, right? We have a networking meeting, then we leave there, and then we go and we get like, hey, we get some contacts, and then like contacts, it's like, hey, I met somebody. Then I try to have 15-minute conversations, and then 1 hour conversation. Then I tell them, I'm going to enroll you into my quote unquote partner program. And that means I'm going to email you every quarter and let you know what's different for me. Key is you got to tell me what's different from you if I don't talk to you. And so like you are going to get periodic emails, but that way we stay engaged with each other. And I need you to tell me, because otherwise I'm not going to know. And so that's how I've been. We just started this year doing it because like we're getting our ass kicked.
Yeah,
no marketing.
That's great that you're doing that.
Yeah, no marketing. It's like you guys, and that's how we met. We met because I was like, oh, the Entrepreneur's Edge, and I just started the podcast. I was like, I gotta go talk to her.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
And, adding on to that, like, the updates that you're doing, one of the things I found really helpful is when I do connect with somebody at a networking event, and we exchange our business cards or contact info. One of the first things I do is email them a questionnaire. It's like 4 or 5 questions, and basically just asks like, who is your ideal client? If I was going to refer someone to you, like, what is the process? Like, how can I do that the easiest way? Just a set of things that, or like I ask them for a couple testimonials, and they send me this info back. I send them the same thing about my business. And now it's like, they know everything that they need to know in order to refer someone to me, and they know that I'm interested in actually referring someone to them.
Yeah, because that's, and I, and the same thing, I am, but ultimately at the end of the day, we are a business, right? So like, I know that and kind of go into it, and it's like, look, if we never, that's fine, maybe we have a nice working relationship and we've done a nice, but I feel like, hey, we start to engage, I feel a know, like, and then trust.
Yep.
And then, because like our clients are like, we value ours. And so like anytime we're ever introduced to somebody, it's always, deeply appreciated, deeply honored. We're going to do whatever we can to honor that relationship.
Yep,
So,
100%. I tell my people who refer others to me, I always just say to them like, even if I can't help them, there's a chance I'll know somebody who can
right,
if it's related to marketing.
right.
Just because I know a ton of people in the industry from working in it for so long. And yeah, there's times when I can't help, but I
Right.
do know someone and I can refer to
Yeah,
them.
maybe have a good relationship with somebody. Be like,
Mhm.
you know what, they're taken care of, and that. And if you refer somebody, and they're gonna find a way to, it's almost a social contract. It's a social contract. I've been given something, I gotta give something back. So
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
it's be it good or bad. That's definitely something that falls on our subconscious, I would say. So let's see. We're coming down to the wire here. So like we've talked a lot about different stuff, pivots, fractional marketing, the list. You know,
Yep.
um, is there anything that else that you feel like, hey, I definitely want to share this to your, and amazing entrepreneurs, right? So what's something that we haven't spoken about that an entrepreneur should hear?
I think something that I've been focusing on a lot lately and that I'm really passionate about and is important for entrepreneurs to hear is, we hear the term ideal client profile or buyer persona or avatar all the time in the industry. And
Mine's Jim.
I think people, Jim, I love that you have a name
Well,
for
well, I've joked. Well, I say it in our meetings. I'm like, Jim owns. He has a small business. It's 25 people, and it's Jim or Jane or whoever. But like, I jokingly say it's my buddy Jim. Is Jim going to buy this or not? Because if Jim ain't going to buy it, I ain't interested in building it. Because
I,
it's going to cost us too much damn money to do so.
Yeah, I love that you're doing that because most people don't do that, unfortunately. And they think that their ideal client profile is just this thing you're supposed to do. And it's part of my marketing strategy process. And it's one of the most important components of it, actually, because if you don't truly know your ideal client inside and out and you try to generalize your messaging and like capture anybody, I promise you, you are going to capture no one or you're going to capture the wrong audience. And you're going to get not great clients or customers. They're not going to be repeat buyers. They're not going to stay with you long. And they're certainly not going to become your advocates. And I have this saying that your best clients are your best marketers.
Yeah.
So it's just really important. And I've been actually kind of hosting some workshops lately on ideal client profiles and the importance.
Where can we catch that?
The one I'm actually hosting tomorrow is specifically for the fitness industry.
Okay.
But I do plan on doing one that's more general to small businesses soon, and so I'll definitely share that info with you when that's getting ready to launch.
Guys, I tell you what, whenever I hear that information, if you are in our groups, guess what? You're going to hear about it. So, this was, thank you so much, Debbie, for coming out and sharing with us. So, I'll give you another second to say your goodbyes, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on. I'm excited just for this and for our continued collaborations and partnership. And yeah, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, guys, it's been another amazing episode of Amazing Entrepreneurs. And yeah, with that being said, I'm tired of, I'm out of witty things to say. So with that being said, I hope you guys have a great week. And we will see you guys back next week. So with that, I bid you adieu.